Welcome back, Sunshine Fam, to another Presidential Highlights video. My name is Chloe, for those of you that are new, and I'd like to welcome my new people that have been commenting on my videos. I greatly appreciate that. I'm so glad that my numbers are starting to grow again. They were starting to go down, and now that I'm uploading more videos a little bit more frequently and starting to finish up these well, one of them it's not really finishing up. I'm just redoing them, the Adventures with Chloe videos, and finishing up on this series, which is Presidential Highlights. I think I'm starting to get more interest. So last time I talked for way too long. The video was like about an hour and my battery almost died, so I'm going to just jump right into this. There's not really a lot of pages. There's a lot of stuff that happened, but not a lot of pages in my notebook that I need to discuss. So with that, we're just going to jump right into this. And I think it's very important that I finish this up before November, because we have another presidential election coming up. And things are really getting heated up, and I was thinking of, after finishing up with Donald Trump, I plan on doing another video before November, giving you enough time to make your final decision without being influenced by the media. I think the media tends to influence who we vote for because we listen to the people in the media. But that's for another video. So today we are talking about our 44th president, Barack Obama. And this is him. So that's Barack Obama. And his vice president was, believe it or not, Joe Biden, who is our current president, the 46th president. So we're just going to jump right into this. For some reason, this one jumped way ahead to start with, so I'm just going to start there. The child care grant, which I do believe I do talk about a little bit later, was in 2014. It was signed into law, and it provides grants for low-income families to find child care. But I'll go more in depth into that when I get to that date. Barack Obama served from 2009 to 2017. So, November 5th of 2008, Obama wins the election. He defeats John McCain, who was a senator from Arizona, by 53% of the popular vote, 365 electoral votes out of 538. January 20th, 2009 was his inauguration. He was the first African-American president, thus far the only African-American president. He was born and raised in Hawaii. His father was from Kenya and his mother was from Kansas. So he's not really completely black because his mom is white, so they call him mulatto. January 22nd, the executive order to close Guantanamo Bay. It was a detention center in Cuba with detainees as international threat to the U.S. The prison stayed open after Obama left office. January 29th, he signs his first bill. It was the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, and it makes it easier to challenge unequal pay between men and women. February 4th, there was a cap on top executive pay. It forces companies getting federal bailout money to set the cap at $500,000. February 17th, the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. It was signed in Denver, Colorado. Its purpose was to save and create jobs for relief of economic crisis of 2008 to 2009. March 9th was the stem cell research. He overturned the restrictions of federal money on embryonic stem cell research. March 16th, the New Age Fireside Chat. It was the first ever online discussion at the White House, kind of like what we had during COVID for the Zoom chats, I guess. May 26th, Justice Sotomayor. Obama nominates Sonia Sotomayor. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name right. She takes over for retiring Judge David Souter. I think it's Souter. Yeah, I tried to write a little bit better, a little clearer this time. June 4th, his speech in Cairo. Obama discusses U.S. relations with the Middle East. October 9th, the Nobel Peace Prize. Obama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his extraordinary efforts to strengthen international diplomacy and cooperation between peoples. He was the fourth president to win such an award. The previous presidents were Teddy Roosevelt, Woodrow Wilson, and Jimmy Carter. And Jimmy Carter received his after leaving office. Now, something I keep forgetting to mention in these presidential highlights videos is Jimmy Carter is currently the oldest living president at 99 years of age. He will turn 100 in October. October 20th, HIV travel ban. He lifts a 22-year-old ban restricting people with HIV and AIDS to travel to the U.S. And I did do a little bit more research on this. As of the end of 2023, 39.9 million people are infected with HIV and AIDS. Something you don't really hear about much in the news because of all the COVID talk. October 28th, but that's Trump's time. October 28th, Hate Crimes Prevention Act. Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Had hate crimes. Okay, wait a minute. Let me read that again. The Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act becomes law. It helps to investigate and prosecute hate crimes. Doesn't sound like we have much of that these days. The prosecution part, anyway. Now we're into 2010. January 14th, Haiti aid. The U.S. pledges $1 million for recovery efforts from a 7.1 earthquake. Over 300,000 lives were lost in Haiti. January 21st, the Volcker Rule. It seeks to restrict U.S. banks from engaging in investments against their best interests of the company. Let's see, that kind of reminded me of a gentleman by the name of John Stumpf. Was the CEO for Wells Fargo for quite a while, and I think it was actually during this time that was going on. We'll talk about that another time. I actually worked for Wells Fargo during that time. I didn't know anything about it until it came out in the news. That was after I left. February 16th, the nuclear reactor, I think it's supposed to be reactor loans. It declares more than $8.3 billion in loan guarantees to Southern companies, which is the name of the company, constructing two new nuclear reactors in Burke County, Georgia. March 1st, school grants. This is, I think, no, that's not what I was, okay. Because this is 2010, never mind, announces $900 million in grants for underperforming schools if they accept reform. March 20th, the Affordable Care Act, Patient Protection and Affordability Care Act, or maybe you've heard it called Obamacare. The most significant regulated makeover since the 1960s in the healthcare industry. It increases quality, affordability, and access to healthcare. But if you remember, it took forever to sign up because the computers crashed because everybody was trying to sign up for it. March 31st, East Coast drilling. It approves exploration for oil and gas in the Gulf of Mexico and Virginia. It was previously banned. Now, something happens with that later on. April 8th, the reduction of the nuclear arms. Obama and Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, I might be pronouncing that name wrong, I don't speak Russian, signed the Strategic Arms and Reduction Treaty, or called START. It reduces a stockpile in U.S. and Russia. April 15th, the budget funding for NASA. It adds $6 billion to the budget over 5 years. And the focus was on space exploration rather than lunar. Although lately, in the last couple of years, they have been talking about us going back to the moon. Should be interesting to see where that goes. April 20th, Deepwater Horizon oil spill. It was leased by BP. There were 11 deaths. 3.19 million barrels, which equals 134 million gallons of oil, were spilled into the Gulf of Mexico, and it lasted 87 days. Huge story, if you remember that. A lot of the wildlife were killed, and a lot of people had to go and rescue birds and clean them up from all the oil that was spilled in the Gulf of Mexico. And it took them 87 days to cap it. That's why I will never buy my gas from BP anymore. April 25th, West Virginia coal miners. Obama eulogizes 29 miners that were killed in an explosion on April 5th. May 10th, Justice Kagan. Obama nominates Solicitor General Elena Kagan to the Supreme Court. She was sworn in August. June 15th, the BP oil spill, which kind of goes with the April 20th thing. The president of BP pays a heavy regulations for malpractice, or reparations for malpractice. July 21st, Wall Street reform. Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act was signed. Remember Dodd-Frank? It regulates stronger authority when large companies break up, and it protects consumers with restricting practices in loans and credit cards. Again, Wells Fargo. August 3rd, Veteran Education Reform. It was a post-9/11 GI Bill, and it was to assist with free and cheaper college tuition for those who served in the military. October 5th, Rosa's Law. It changes diction of the federal statutes that use mental retardation and intellectual disability. So people couldn't use those terms anymore. Now it's like bipolar, or I don't know what they call it nowadays. I didn't go that far into it. I'm sure you know what it is, though, and you're probably telling me in your computers or your phones. October 8th, Equal Access, Opportunity, and Respect. The 21st Century Communications and Video Accessibility Act. There's a lot of these acts signed during Obama's time. It allows Americans who are deaf, blind, or visually impaired access to new technological advances. I know I had seen on Dr. Phil's show, he would endorse these glasses that were that could read for people that were blind, I can't remember. I was going to write it down too, what it was called. But they're these, I'm sure that they're very expensive. But they're glasses that have like a camera on them, and you can tell them where to start in the article, and it'll automatically find that spot and read it out loud to the person who's blind. I think it's really cool. November 2nd, midterm elections. Republicans gain 6 Senate seats. Democrats reduce from 18 to 6, and the GOP adds 63 seats in the House, 242 to 193. November 29th, 2-year pay freeze proposal. It was to get the deficit under control. Federal employees have a 2-year pay freeze, and it started January 1st of 2011, or 1/1/11. December 3rd, first presidential pardons. There were 9 pardons for crimes ranging from drug charges to conspiracy. December 13th, Healthy Kids, Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act. It funds nutrition and free lunch programs. Please leave your comments below if you want to hear a story of how I got involved with Sea Dog School over something like that. That'll be a separate video. December 17th, extension of Bush tax cuts. Tax Relief, Unemployment Insurance, Reauthorization, and Job Creation Act. That's a mouthful, huh? It extends Bush's tax cuts and promotes economic growth. December 22nd, Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Repeals the policy, allows LGBTQ to serve in the military. Now we're into 2011. January 8th, Tucson shootings. At a constituent meeting, the shooter shoots 19 and kills 6. That is when Gabby Giffords was shot in the head, but she survived. And then she resigned her post, if you remember that. You can always look up some of these stories on your own, research your own. February 2nd, the New START Treaty. Obama signed the treaty. It developed security and world without fear of nuclear weapons. Although there are quite a few countries, including the U.S., that still have nuclear weapons. March 8th, military trials for detainees. It ends the ban on military trials at Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay, and it allows military trials to continue. So it ends the ban on them, and it allows the military trials to continue. That was confusing when I was writing it out because of the way that it was worded. May 1st, Osama bin Laden was killed. So I've got 3 things to show you on this as I talk about it. Yes, I got the magazines. He was the leader of Al-Qaeda, and he claimed responsibility for 9/11. The hunt for bin Laden began with Bush Jr. The SEAL Team 6 was responsible for the death, and he was buried at sea. And, of course, all the papers had something to say about it as well. So this was our paper. This was the Star Tribune. Justice has been done. Bin Laden is dead. And the date of this paper is May 2nd of 2012. Wait a minute. This is confusing. This says May 1st of 2011. Unless I'm off on my dates here. This is weird. This says 2012. I don't know. Let's see, what does the magazine say? That also says, oh, that says 2011, so why does this say 2012? Oh, it does say 2011. I'm sorry, I can't read, apparently. Okay, so that was bin Laden was finally caught and killed. They did not show the killing on any video, so you will, even if you try to look for it, it does not exist. August 2nd, Budget Control Act. It raises the federal debt ceiling, and it was for the U.S. to avoid default. September 8th, American Jobs Act. It was designed to improve the U.S. economy. It was an address to the joint sessions of Congress. October 21st, the end of the Iraq War. Troops will be home by December, he said, and it ends the U.S. role in Iraq. Although I want to say that we probably still have people over there. I didn't do the research on that. 2012, February 5th, Iranian sanctions. It freezes assets of Iranian government held by the U.S. Iran is engaged in deceptive practices. April 4th, against insider trading. Stop trading on Congressional Knowledge Act, or STOCK. Interesting how they come up with these acronyms for it. It eliminates insider trading. And I believe that was with the Martha Stewart thing. May 9th, gay marriage. Actually, no, I looked that up. Martha Stewart was before bin Laden took off, or bin Laden, what am I thinking? Barack Obama took office. May 9th, gay marriage. He supports same-sex marriage. September 6th, the Democratic National Convention. Obama accepts the nomination. November 6th, he is reelected. The Republican Mitt Romney loses to Obama, 332 electoral votes to 206, so he won by 51% of the votes. December 14th, Sandy Hook shooting. Now this was a very sad time. Let's see, I think I skipped over this. This was July 21st. So I'm going to back up for just a minute because I don't think they put this in here, which I don't know why they wouldn't have, but there had been another mass shooting that happened earlier in 2012. This paper was dated July 21st of 2012. And that's what this paper looked like. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but this was the shooting in Colorado at the movie theater. And that was at the screening of one of the Batman movies where that kid came in and shot a whole bunch of people, including children. He survived, and he is now sitting in jail. But let's jump ahead now to December 14th, the Sandy Hook shooting in Connecticut. 20 elementary students were killed. 6 adults. Shooter first kills his mother, ends with him taking his life. He had Asperger's, which is a form of autism. So, because of this, a program that was set up by the parents of the kids that died, that's why we have Sandy Hook Promise. That was one of the worst school shootings, not because of how many people were killed, but because it was elementary school students. Although that wasn't the first one that had a big impact. There was one that I don't think I've ever mentioned in a presidential highlights video. I don't remember what year it was. I'd have to look it up, or you can look it up. It was an Amish school, a one-room Amish school that a guy went in and killed a bunch of kids, Amish kids. That was also very sad. Okay, 2013, January 2nd, taxpayer relief. American Taxpayer Relief Act, tax breaks for most Americans. It raises the taxes for top earners. January 21st, the second inauguration. He was sworn in privately, but the public ceremony took place the next day. January 29th, immigration reform. It outlines a proposal for comprehensive immigration reform. March 7th, Violence Against Women. Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act. It seeks to provide increased protection for women. It improved police tools to combat violence. And I think that's when Dr. Phil started his series of End the Silence on Domestic Violence. June 25th, Climate Plan. Climate Action Plan at Georgetown University. It was designed to lower carbon monoxide pollution and prepare for impending effects of climate change, which I'm sure we had been dealing with for a while. July 19th, Trayvon Martin could have been me. Trayvon's killer, George Zimmerman, was acquitted. The African American community was absolutely enraged, and when Obama talked, he said, Trayvon Martin could have been me. In his younger years. August 9th, student loans. Bipartisan Student Loan Certainty Act. The government should help students with crippling debt, which we are still kind of going through today with the debt forgiveness program. September 10th, chemical weapons in Syria. Obama speaks about war in Syria. Al-Assad, the president of Syria, use of chemical weapons on his own people. October 1st, the government shut down. Congress fails to agree of funding legislation, and it lasted for 16 days. November 1st, the climate change and its effects. Obama addresses the impact of climate change. He details how we'll take action to increase readiness. 2014, January 28th, the State of the Union. He focuses on low unemployment and increasing inequality. February 7th, Agriculture Act of 2014. The Federal Agriculture Reform and Risk Management Act, another blah, 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 authorizes $956 billion for nutrition and agricultural programs from 2014 to 2018. February 12th, minimum wage. It increases from $7.25 to $10.10 for federal contractors. You hear that, Texas? August 6th, Russian sanctions. Economic sanctions for Russia. For Russian intervention in Crimea. For stealing assets from Ukraine. May 30th, the VA secretary resigns. Now, you probably will remember this. General Eric Shinseki That's when veterans had to wait months for care at VA hospitals, and a lot of them were dying while they were on a waiting list, or they were taking their own life. I think that's when all the veteran suicides started happening. I mean, it probably was before that, but it probably ramped up that way. July 21st, LGBT discrimination. He signs an order that the community can't be discriminated in the workplace. November 4th, the midterm elections. Republicans regain Congress. November 20th, immigration reform. Again, it will allow illegal immigrants to stay and legally obtain work. 2015, January 9th, free community college, as long as students fit certain criteria. Proposal to make community college free. They must maintain a certain GPA. February 12th, veteran suicide epidemic. Why? I didn't read ahead. I swear to God, I did not read ahead. Clay Hunt Suicide Prevention for American Veterans Act. It raises awareness on veteran suicide for them to receive help. March 7th, 50th anniversary of Selma marches. The civil rights marches in Alabama. January 26th, the eulogy for Reverend Clementa Pinckney in Charleston, South Carolina. Now, this was another shooting. You notice how these shootings seem to be going up every year? Or at least I mean, there's always shootings going on, but you only hear about certain ones. So this was another high-profile one. This shooting was inside a church during a Bible study. If you remember that one, the shooter was hoping to start a race war. He was caught and arrested, and that's when the whole issue about the Confederate flag came into the national news, where they were taking down the Confederate flag in southern states that were still flying it at like government houses, like courthouses and city halls and stuff like that. June 26th, gay marriage was upheld. The Supreme Court rules 5-4 in favor. August 3rd, Clean Power Plan reduces carbon pollution from existing power plants by 30% plus by the year 2030. Wonder where that's going on these days. September. I didn't do a lot of research on this one. I'm so sorry. September 23rd, Pope Francis visits the White House. November 30th, Paris Climate Change Conference. Obama attends this. 2016, January 17th, the deal with Iran. It was to prevent acquisition of nuclear weapons. Iran agrees, so the U.S. begins lifting some sanctions. February 13th, the death of Antonin Scalia. He was the Supreme Court justice found dead. Obama nominates Merrick Garland. The Republicans in Congress won't confirm it. March 20th, the Cuba trip. He was the first sitting president to visit since 1928. Calvin Coolidge was the last president to do that. May 4th, Flint, Michigan visit. Maybe this will jog your memories too. A lot of this stuff you guys probably have forgotten about. The water supply had been contaminated by high levels of lead. Obama reassures people, today the water is safe and has been for 7 years. Now, I had done a little research way before I started this one about what happened in Flint, Michigan with the water supply. They were trying to start a new water program, and they hadn't tested it enough. So when they switched the water from where they were getting it to where they took it from, that's when all these problems happened. And so people couldn't take baths. I remember seeing videos of people turning on their water in their bathtub and it was coming out brown. They couldn't drink water, so they had to drink bottled water that was safe for them to drink from other states, I presume, or other areas in Michigan. But apparently it is now safe to drink and use, and has been for 7 years. June 25th, the Supreme Court upholds the health care law. It rules 6-3 that tax credits are available to eligible citizens. July 28th, he gives his speech at the Democratic National Convention. It was held in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and he supports Hillary Clinton, but because, of course, he was Democratic and so was Hillary Clinton. November 8th, the presidential election. Republican Donald Trump wins over Hillary Clinton by 306 electoral votes. He lost the popular vote by almost 3 million votes, but somehow he made it in. November 10th, President-elect visits the White House. There was a meeting in the Oval Office with the press. And 2017, January 20th, leaving office. After attending the inauguration, the Obamas take a vacation in Palm Springs, Florida, and they continue to live in D.C. until their youngest daughter finishes high school. And I know with Obama, there was a lot of controversy about him when he took office. He was from Illinois. And there was a big stink that he sold his seat. I don't remember if he was a congressman or a senator. I think he was a senator. Obama was a senator, I believe. And they say he sold a seat to Blagojevich, I want to say his name was. And as soon as Blagojevich was found guilty, his name was like on all the signs over all the highways in the Chicagoland area. And as soon as he went to jail because of this sale of Obama's seat, all the signs got taken down. And yeah, that just goes to show politicians are crooked. But we do have another election coming up soon, and I will just give a brief mention on this. There is a lot going on with the presidential election right now. It was going to be between Trump and Biden, who is our current president. And after the last debate, I think it was, there was a lot of controversy that Biden's health was not doing so well. He was not making any sense whatsoever. And so people were trying to force him to bow out of the race, which he did eventually do. And he endorsed Kamala Harris. And so right now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because I'll go into this in another video after I do Trump's video, because his will be the last one currently, which ends my presidential highlights series for a while. Because it probably will take this website a while to get the key events up for Biden for me to make that video. And at the end of Trump's video, I will also tell you the website that I've been using to get all this information for the key events, because I have been keeping that under wraps. Because I wanted to make sure that I did all the videos before I gave you the information, because then otherwise I'd be wasting my time, because then you could go to the website and look up all this information. So then it's pointless for me to do it. But right now, the race is between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris recently announced her pick for vice president, who happens to be the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz. Not a lot of people like Tim Walz for the way that he handled things during COVID. I try to stay out of politics, even though I do give information to you guys that I find from this website to educate you and bring you up to speed as to how this country started. Now, for those of you that are watching this that haven't gone back to watch from the very beginning, the reason I started this series was inspired by a brilliant man by the name of Lin-Manuel Miranda. I saw the show of Hamilton, and that was inspired by a YouTuber that I follow by the name of Amy McDonough Guitar. She is the wife of another YouTuber I follow whose name is Ashton Bingham, and his YouTube channel is Trilogy Media. She was singing praises about Hamilton, and I had heard about it, but I didn't think I'd be that interested because I was never interested in history when I was going to school. But I watched the show on Disney Plus, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Silver Star and I quote it all the time. I was chosen for the Constitutional Convention. Is he in Jersey, by the way? And so that's what inspired me to start this presidential highlights video series, because I kind of wanted to see how this country started and what each president has brought to the table to get this country to where it is today. I would think that with the way things are going today, how it's gone downhill so badly with the last several presidents, I would think that our founding fathers are probably turning in their grave thinking, what has happened to what we started? This is not how we wanted it to go. But it is where it is at. The person that I wanted to vote for in this upcoming election has sadly bowed out in January. And I will tell you about him when I talk about the upcoming election and give you informative information about each candidate so that you can make an informed, non-media endorsed decision. Forget everything you hear about on the media. I'm going to go and dig into information, which a lot of people don't do. They just listen to the news and they make their decision by what the news that they choose to listen to, whether it's CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, whatever, CBS, ABC, their local news stations, whatever. Don't listen to the media because they are biased towards whatever political party they endorse. I personally think we should ban political parties, but I will get more into that in that other video. So look forward to that. And now I see my battery's about to die again, so I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. I've been talking for an hour, so thank you for joining me on another presidential highlights video. I will see you guys hopefully next week to tell you about Trump and what little he did for the country in 4 years. And so you guys all have a sunny day. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.